My name is Sperry, and in this short video we're going to talk about upgrading from Spectrum Protect version 7 to version 8, and in particular what we're going to talk about is the session security settings that may change during this upgrade. Now, in both the 7 code stream and the 8 code stream, we made some changes in the way we do security for the Spectrum Protect client and other components in the product. Prior to version 7.1.8 and 8.1.2, you either did SSL secure transport or you didn't. And if you did, it applied to both the data and the metadata. So it was totally turned on for server-to-server communications or client-to-server communications. But beginning at version 7.1.8 in the 7 code stream and 8.1.2 in the 8 code stream, we introduced the requirement to use TLS SSL for the transmission of metadata between the Spectrum Protect client and the Spectrum Protect server and between other components. So basically what we're saying here is when you started using either one of these versions or later, from that point on, even if you chose not to do TLS SSL for all communications, it was still going to be a requirement that TLS SSL was used for passwords and metadata. And we did that because we needed to make the product more secure for a modern environment. So just running the client and the server and multiple servers without using any encryption proved to be just too much of a security risk to allow. Now, even though we made this change, there are still a couple of situations that we needed to be able to support and be able to run in, and they are as follows. First of all, if you were already choosing to run in this all data encrypted mode, then you wouldn't see any change, of course, because you were already encrypting all of the data between the clients and the Spectrum Protect server or between the servers. But there's this other situation where we at IBM support connectivity from back-level clients to newer servers. So if you chose to run in a configuration where you might still have a back-level client that didn't want to use that new security protocol, we had to find a way to support that. And basically, we do. The server will still support back-level clients and other components that do not understand these higher security protocols. So if you choose to run in that configuration in your organization, then you still can. It's still supported, and that will work. But in order to do that, we had to, with the server and the client and other components, support these two different protocols that could potentially be running in an environment. And the way we did that was we introduced this new parameter, and this parameter is called session security. And it had two, and it has two different values. The first of those values is the so-called transitional value. And with the transitional value, we're going to support that communication to the older components, the components that can't support this new security protocol, or this new TLS protocol where the passwords and the metadata are the only data that is encrypted. If, however, you have a environment that is totally up to date, then we can run with the session security parameter set to strict, meaning both the client and the server, or both of the components, can support this newer, more secure pass protocols that require passwords and other metadata to be encrypted. And so because we can support that, that is the mode that we're going to run in. Now, because of this, there needs to be a process for getting these older clients up to the newer security standards. And that's what you see here described in this bullet. When you do an upgrade, a new or upgrading node is going to start its existence set to this transitional value. And then what's going to happen on the first connection, the new software, either on the client or other server components, is going to automatically receive a copy of the server self-signed certificate. And when that happens, the client can then support this new TLS protocol, and the node definition is going to automatically change to strict for all future communications with the server. So the client will no longer be able to authenticate without using this TLS protocol and the proper certificate. So under these circumstances, the upgrade is automatic. The transition from totally unsecure, if that's what you're running into, this mixed mode where passwords and metadata is run under TLS and data is just transmitted in the open, is achieved. Now, there is sometimes some situations where for some reason the proper certificate exchange did not occur. And if that happens, there are kind of a couple troubleshooting exercises that you can undergo. First of all, what you can do is, if for some reason this node definition gets set to strict, but the certificate exchange didn't occur, you can reset the component back to transitional and then just try the whole process again. See if the automated process worked. Or another option is, if you need to, you can transfer the server self-signed certificate by hand to the component, either the client or the other server, and start this whole running in strict mode based on that non-automated process. Now again, I want to emphasize that for the most part, because of this transitional and strict definition, this should occur automatically in most cases. So hopefully you shouldn't have to do any of this, or you shouldn't have to do anything by hand when you do the upgrades. But given that many of our customers have typically thousands of clients, usually there might be some small subset of them that for some reason you have to go out there and manage this process by hand or reset it. Now, I have included some references down here to the process, and I'll include those in the links to this video. First of all, here's a reference to the documentation and the process overview, and this is a link to doing some troubleshooting and translating that certificate by hand. I will also put in the links to this video a link to a video that my colleague Trisha Zhang did shows this certificate transfer by hand. So you can kind of see it being done if you do need to resort to that, and this automated process does not occur properly. Now what I'd like to do is do a demo of an upgrade. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade a Spectrum Protect server from 7.1.11 to 8.1.10. So I'm going to go from 7 to 8. But I'm going to leave my Windows client initially at this older version with the unsupported new protocol. And I'll show you logging in, and I'll show you what the session security parameter looks like. And then we'll go ahead and upgrade the Windows client to version 8.1.9. And we'll take a look at the session security parameter again and see how things have changed once we logged in with the new client. So let's take a look at that now. Okay, so before I upgrade, what I want to do is I am going to log on to my server. And I want to show you that this server is version 7.1.11. So this is a server that is in the 7 stream, but does support the session security parameters. So for clients that support the session security parameter, this server is going to support it. And I do have a node defined here. It's called WinFizz1. And what I want to do is I want to take a look at that node with an f equal d parameter. And you can see that node is running version 7.1.6.2. And as you can see, I have logged on with that node, but the session security for that node is transitional. And the reason the session security for that node is transitional, it is using a protocol which does not support the new security TLS protocols. So it's going to continue to be transitional as long as it's using one of those older clients. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and upgrade this server to version 8 so that you can see that session security parameter is not going to change. So I'll go ahead and stop the video while I do that, and we'll go ahead and do the upgrade. Okay, so here we are. Our upgrade is now finished, and what I want to show you is when we log on, you'll see that I am now at version 8.1.10 on the server. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and show you my Spectrum Protect client. So I'll go ahead and bring up the GUI just so we can see it with the graphical user interface. And as you can see here, I haven't upgraded my client at all. It is still at version 7.1.6.2. But I can go out here and I'm just going to pick up a backup of a small number of files. So my E drive, I'll do a backup. And that all worked fine. So I can still connect into my server. But if I go back here and look at my server, you'll see that my client version is still at 7.1.6.2, and even after my update, my connection, my session security is still at transitional. So the session security has not changed, although this is an upgraded server that supports the new security protocols. Because I have an old client, the session security is going to remain transitional until I do that upgrade. And so I am going to go ahead and do that upgrade now, and I'll stop the recording and come back, and we'll take a look at the session security setting and see what happens when we log in. Okay, so I have now done the upgrade on this client, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and pull up the GUI again, just so you can see that this is version 8.1.9.0, which is the latest version of the client at the time I'm doing this upgrade. I am going to have to log in. And so I'll go ahead and log in, and I'll do a backup just to have the certificate exchange take place. So I'm going to go ahead and back up this E drive, and I'll do an always backup, and I'll do a backup. And as you can see, my backup did complete. And now if I go back and I look at my server, I'm still at version 8.1.10 of the server. I have not changed that. But if I do my Q node, I will see that my client, because it has checked in, is at version 8.1.9.0. And what I really wanted to show you is now my session security has changed to strict, with my transport method now changed to version TLS 1.2. So the first time that client, which could support the new protocols, logged into the server that also could support the new protocols, the self-signed certificate exchange occurred, was pushed down to the client, and from that point on, the session security would change from that transitional mode to the strict mode. That's what I wanted to show you in this demo. I hope you find this useful, and I look forward to seeing you in an upcoming video.